I was prepared to do a show about, some NBA stuff. The new ownership of the Los Angeles Lakers opening night schedule release. But as I was set to record, folks, Russell Westbrook has retired. So we're going to pour one up for Brody today on an incredible career as we get ready for this week's episode of Breaking Through Glass Ceilings with Uncomfortable Conversations. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of Breaking Through Glass Ceilings with Uncomfortable Conversations. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. This show is, of course, brought to you by Six Heart Media Productions. Now, before I get into all of that, first, I want to say, Loving Them Gates, the podcast that Queen P.R and I do together, talking about Beyond the Gates, will now be live every Sunday night. So make sure y'all tune in right here. We do have a members only tab now. So if you want to join, become a member of the channel, it's only 99 cents a month and you'll get exclusive content. And plus, for the love of power, Raising Canaan season 5 has happened. It's over. The series is over, but we was on the Big Gold Belt Media's Culture Collective with Two Chams and Lucas, and we talked about it. We was also joined by the one and only Miss Kimmy Cakes of the Chronicles of Power podcast, which we recapped episode 7. So we've been busy, especially with the Power universe. So make sure y'all check that out. Queen PR and I will bring some power content also probably later this week. But folks, before I get started, I want to say a huge thank you publicly to my sister Meagan and Queen PR. They surprised me. Y'all know I was very vocal. I turned 40 this year. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to my Substack, which I write a lot of articles. Well, one of the things I wrote about was 40 video games that I love. Now, of course, I had to go with like my favorite Madden or my favorite NBA 2K plus other stuff. But I was celebrating 40 and it's been a different year, obviously. But I'm happy and they got me. They got me good, y'all. They got me real good. But I am truly blessed to have them. So I wanted to publicly thank them. Folks, Russell Westbrook has retired. 18 years or 15 years. Let me double check that. In the NBA, I was scrolling and, I was just doing my thing, scrolling. And then I was like, wait a minute. I know that is not what I think it is, And sure enough, it was the announcement that Russell Westbrook is retiring. Now, I understand, you know when your favorite players, and yeah, 18 seasons, it's like, all right, that time is coming. We all obviously know he's been a journeyman. I'm rocking the Wizards Russell Westbrook jersey, but I knew that the time was coming soon. You know what I mean? I knew that he was with the Kings, and he wasn't really Russ. Yeah, he was coming off the bench, but y'all know the thing I loved about Russell Westbrook and what made him my favorite player, because he reminded me of Kobe Bryant in a sense, was when you're not a teammate, you're an enemy. And that was the way I loved the way he played the game. All this buddy crap we got going on now, nah. So I was happy about that. I was happy to see like every night he would go hard, rebounds, assists, points, triple-double, Mr. Triple-Double. He broke a record that many said couldn't be broken, and that was the consecutive triple-doubles, or was it most triple-doubles than Oscar Robertson. So I was truly happy. But what is Russell Westbrook's legacy? Obviously, up until a couple years ago, you could have called him the greatest player in OKC Thunder history. Now, you may say Kevin Durant, which obviously you say that as well, but Russ stayed longer. He won an MVP there. He didn't get him to the finals, but you could have made the argument. Most people would have said KD, right? But he also went to the Houston Rockets, and they was contending, sort of. They made the playoffs, him and James Harden, but things just wasn't working there. He goes to the Lakers, and I'm excited. I said, "Oh, we got my favorite player on my favorite team, along with one of my other favorite players, and Carmelo Anthony, who was making his resurge back into the NBA." So I was like, "Oh man, all this is great," but it wasn't. And Melo, he did a season, he was out. And unfortunately for Russ, it just didn't work with him and LeBron. Now, I read the article, the investigative piece, if you want to call it, and I listened to the Hollywood drama about the Lakers, and I blame LeBron James and Anthony Davis. One of the points that was made was Will Smith came to talk to the team, and LeBron and AD didn't want nothing to do with it. They walked out. That led to an argument between Russell Westbrook and Patrick Beverly. Then obviously Rob Pelinka and then was like, look, y'all got to get back here. And then LeBron did that thing where he comes back in the room and all of a sudden he takes over the room. He's got all the questions. He's happy to see Will Smith. And that was kind of the things like, okay, yeah, writing's on the wall. And so the fit just didn't work. And quite frankly, it killed the relationship or potential relationship that those two had. It also kind of put a damper on Russell Westbrook. You could see like there was like people extending the jerseys and they wanted, Russ got all his jerseys and you say, okay, well, what's the could you sign a Lakers jersey? And he's like, nah. So it put a damper right there. So I just wasn't happy about the way things ended for Russell Westbrook. I thought he got a raw deal. I thought he had to shove a lot of the blame, which y'all know how I feel about LeBron James. And I mean, I may go down as fickle. If you look at the history of my Twitter account, you'll see times where I couldn't stand him, see times I loved him, especially when he was on my team, bringing championships. And that time was just like, bro, it's over. It's over. But nonetheless, I think LeBron James ruined how we see Russell Westbrook's career. Was he on the downward spiral? Sure. He wasn't the same Russ. But I still think if those guys could have got along and Anthony Davis to blame too, I think that they could have delivered a championship to the Lakers. I think they could have been in sync, but clearly there was a personality and a character issue there. And unfortunately, Russell Westbrook, he suffered. I love when he went to Washington and he's immediately made it known. This is Bradley Beal's team. That's the part people don't talk about. They always bring up the bad stuff. Russ going Russ, right? My god brother, shout out to Sammy. He would tell me, he said, man, you don't play ball the way we do. You're not going to understand why players don't like Russell Westbrook. He plays with the player who goes out there and he tries to get all the stats. So I can understand that, but like I said, what I like was the heart and determination that Russell Westbrook brought to the game, I should say, the NBA. It's the reason why he was on the Olympic squad. So shout out to Russ, great career. Thank you for everything. Let's move on. Speaking of LeBron James, who just won't go away, he's left the Lakers, obviously. We know that. I did some stuff on that. And with LeBron James leaving the Los Angeles Lakers, one, they kind of is not getting the TV shine that they used to. More on them in a second. But he is on the Philadelphia 76ers, and they will take on the New York Knicks, shall I say, my New York Knicks in the season opener. So that's going to be fun. I understand that's the most expensive tickets. Like to get in the door is $1,900. Now that is ridiculous, but it is what it is. But what's cool is LeBron James has to walk into Madison Square Garden and watch those banners get raised and watch the Knicks get presented with their rings. Now it's funny if this is true, but they're saying that LeBron's camp reached out about him playing with the Knicks. And they was like, nah, we good. I find it very interesting, and whether that's true or not, that one, he opens up against the Knicks, and two, I can see him trying to go out there and play hard, have some vengeance. The Sixers on paper should be the favorites, right? I mean, you talking LeBron James. We know who he is, legend going into his 24th year. You talking Jaylen Brown, Finals MVP, Joel Embiid MVP, Tyrese Maxey, up and comer, and VJ Edgecombe. Y'all better get ready. Look at that squad, right? Can they make it? Can they make it to the finals? We shall see. It's been years. We haven't seen the Sixers in the finals since 2001, and we haven't seen a championship since the 80s. So, can they do it? Only time will tell. But what if the Sixers are the one team LeBron James cannot get to the NBA finals? What do you say about this? Is this one of those situations where glad to see you come, glad to see you leave? I don't know. But LeBron James, Philadelphia 76ers, taking on Jalen Brunson and the Knicks to open up the NBA season. Get your popcorn ready. Speaking of the Lakers, this was very interesting news that happened today. The Los Angeles Lakers, Mark Walter, has officially sold them to Josh Kushner and Bob Iger for, check this out, $12 billion. That is wild. $12 billion. Now, what's also interesting about this deal is Walter had well over, he had, he basically pocketed 2.9 billion. So I'm like, wow, that is insane. For Walter to pocket that much money, like he really just flipped the Lakers. Now, I wonder how people feel for one of the most prestigious franchises in the league, right? I know there's this NBA page. The name is escaping me, right? But the page basically went through every franchise and ranked them 1 through 30, 32, whatever. And the Lakers are ranked number 1. I was keeping up with it, but I believe the Kings were I know they was towards the end because they haven't won any championships, and they would put the All-Star lineup there. So, but the Lakers were number 1, right? So let's say, for the sake of this conversation, the most prestigious franchises, the second most, they have the second most championships, and now they've been flipped for $2 billion. Now, part of it is because that Walter's allegedly under investigation. Well, he is under federal investigation, so they say he's trying to pay off some of those debts. Boy, but I never would have saw this coming. Now, this is part of the reason why I switched teams. Between LeBron James, between the ownership, it's not the same Lakers I fell in love with. The bust Lakers are the ones I fell in love with. I was too young for the Ken Cook era. So that's the thing. Let me pull up this post. Oh man, I can't find it. But yeah, looking at overall, the team, right, was initially created with a $15,000 fee. $15,000 fee, now worth $12 billion. Wow. Now, I thought Jeannie was gonna own it forever. I'll be very interested to see if she will still be involved. Oh, wow. We're getting into this news. Might as well jump into it right now while we're talking about the sports. Damien Woody out at ESPN. 15 years. 15 years, Damien Woody out of ESPN. It sucks. The sports era is changing. I remember when I worked there and my cousin was like, oh man, it's kind of I guess he would say layoff proof. We all know that doesn't exist, right? But he was like, "No, everybody gonna always love sports." And then, ironically, 2 years later, people was getting laid off. Fortunately, I wasn't, but I left ahead of that time. But this is unfortunate. Here's what he posted though. Still processing it all, but I want to thank all of my colleagues at ESPN who made it a joy to talk ball for 15 years. Being a guy who had a serious speech impediment to working on TV was truly one of my proudest moments. Looking forward to what God has in store for me next. I was actually playing NFL 2K5, a lot of it, right? Playing a lot of 2K5 over the past couple of weeks. I did this big fantasy draft, and Damien Woody was on one of the teams that I was going against, and I was like, wow, he's on ESPN. He made the transition. One of the better talents, right? We have a lot of athlete-led media, and I've talked about that to a nauseum here, so y'all already know how I feel about it. But there are some good ones. Him, Ryan Clark, just two that I'm gonna name. Oh, I got to throw Jalen Rose in there. So it sucks that you seeing people like him, kind of getting booted out. But you still got Pat McAfee around. But that's all I'm gonna say about that. So let's move on. The Orioles, they continue their woes. Y'all know they're trash. Orioles traded Adley Rutschman last week. Was it 2 weeks ago at this? Well, last week, beginning of last week, I did a whole video and a lot of people was like, "Oh, but they had to make the best move." And the Red Sox have been losing. The Orioles have been losing too. This was a series. They had a road trip, 2 series that was important as they in the wild card, and they are shitting the bed. So that's been unfortunate for them. Yeah, I just don't like it. But no, we getting ready for football season. And shout out to the Ravens. I'm excited for the Ravens, see what they got for us. I know that, Nate Wiggins went down in training in camp, but he's okay. Marlon Humphrey went down. We hope that he'll be okay. I want y'all to check out Echoes from the Nest. Check out the Echoes from the Nest podcast. I was on there at the beginning of the end of the spring. Shout out to the homie Kira and the homie JC, two of my high school buddies. So, you can get all your good Ravens coverage there. Now, few things. Travis Kelce claims he can still play at a high level. We shall see. Aaron Rodgers, y'all know he will be playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The rivalry changes this year with the Ravens and the Steelers. You got a brand new coach on both teams. You got Jesse Minter for the Ravens. You got Mike McCarthy for the Steelers. So one team went younger. Looks like, yeah, we want this guy to be the next coach for the next 10, 15, 20 years. Another one's like, look, we want a quick fix. That's all I'm going to say. But I got to the NFL because what I want to talk about is our fan subscription fatigue. And that is where we got all these apps. And I'm also blaming the NBA. Y'all remember the days when all you had to do was have a television, right? All you needed was a television, and you could watch the NFL during the daytime on Sunday. It's Fox and CBS. And then at night, NBC. Even before that, you need cable watching on ESPN, and then Monday Night Football was on ABC. That's not the case anymore. Now you gotta have Peacock, you gotta have Netflix, you gotta have Amazon Prime. All of these things just to enjoy football. Eventually, this is going to crash, right? Like, somebody let me know. Eventually, all of this is going to crash, and we're going to all be back under one cable box or one cable network or something. Who knows? But like right now, you got I don't even know how many apps we had to watch the NBA last year. Same thing. Peacock, Amazon, Netflix. Maybe the NBA wasn't on Netflix, but TNT, or they don't have that no more. ESPN, it's just entirely too much.
Hey, gatekeepers, make sure you hit the subscribe button on 6 Heart Media YouTube channel where we discuss Beyond the Gates every single week. And we have a lot more fun content coming. And make sure you check out our featured affiliate sponsors.
But speaking of ESPN, speaking of football, Tony Romo, his future at CBS is questionable. Now, he went down, he was, got caught driving under the influence. And because of that, they put him aside, put him on the sideline, which I was surprised. Now, we know when Tony Romo entered that booth, it was a fresh outlook, a fresh nuance to the game. We felt like we was learning football. He was calling plays before they was happening. It was great. But now, one bad night can kill a career, and unfortunately it did for him. Now, here's the thing. In 2020, he signed a historic deal. 10 years, $180 million after a fierce bidding war with ESPN. But another opportunity, this opportunity is for J.J. Watt because he will be taking over. Now, do y'all think J.J. Watt is going to get in that seat and relinquish it back to Tony Romo? I don't think so. I think the Tony Romo era is over, folks. I think J.J. Watt is going to have a huge year. And we're going to be very intrigued by the way he calls the games. Obviously, he's been on the B team. You don't move up, you don't move up without reason. You got to be good at it. This isn't easy work. It's not like over there at Fox when they just, move Greg Olson. They just moved Greg Olson for Tom Brady because Tom Brady's name. And we literally had to deal with the growing pains of Tom Brady every week. So shout out to J.J. Watt. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does here. All right, let's move on to some pop culture. Actually, let's just say trending, just regular trending topics. First, I want to talk about this Walmart ban. Y'all may have heard of this guy, Damon Darling TV. So I was going across, I saw this on TikTok, Instagram, Damien Darling TV. Damien Darling is a guy who was walking around, black man, giving out, yeah, he's black. The way he was talking, I wasn't sure if that was his real voice or if he was just, kind of playing the game and, just putting on a fake accent. But nonetheless, he's giving out, he was paying for people's groceries. Or like he was staying outside of Walmart. Somebody would be like, hey, well, he's like, let me see your receipt. Like, you know how they do it. Walmart's very annoying. And he would give them the amount of money they spent. Well, Walmart banned him. Say he can't go to Walmart, Sam's, or was it Murphy's Gas? Can't do that. They got tired of him. They didn't want him filming. And he said to TMZ, he don't want people protesting. Doesn't want people, going crazy. He will respect their business wishes. He will not. But one thing he did say is, well, people like to be filmed and whatnot. So I thought that was interesting. I know we're at a time and day where people just give out just doing content. And sometimes it's like, is this genuine or is this to get over? Now, of course, he's spending money, but come on now. The amount of followers, over 12 million followers across all platforms. So I wonder, is this genuine or this is just his stick? He was at a Cincinnati Reds game and he had a bunch of tickets and he was giving them out. That's good publicity for the Reds. Even though he's giving out the tickets, he's giving out the families. Families of 4, 5, 6. They're in the nosebleeds. He's like, here you go sit down. First of all, if you know baseball, you know this ain't the 90s. So those lower tickets, yeah, they still expensive, but I think they would be happy that, they was giving him the tickets or whatever. Maybe he paid for them. I'm not going to say he didn't. But bottom line is, hey, here's the tickets. Boom. Go sit down. They was happy. People was down there. But in all honesty, it's a nice gesture. Somebody walked away with the money they spent back in their pockets, or somebody saved $100, $200. And, I just think this is crazy that Walmart would ban him. I don't know. I don't know if they had a conversation. Y'all let me know. Did they have a conversation with him? But overall, I thought this was crazy. Now, I'm going to close with this because this is a very uncomfortable conversation because we're talking as we get ready to go back to school. My children are getting ready to go back to school. It's not my favorite time of the year because I like when my babies are home. But nonetheless, educator Darius Cooks, he was once known for his cooking videos. He got emotional. He talked about his seniors and the gaps in literacy among college students. Now, he said some of them can't even put 4 words together. But we're so quick to hand our children one of these. And it starts when they this low, this high, I should say. Eventually, parents, you got to raise your children. It's not easy. Parenting is hard. It's not to be taken lightly. It is a thankless position, but it's a rewarding one. Handing your child a tablet, not limiting screen time, is not helping. Think about this. I will admit, I am always priding myself on being a great speller, but I don't think I would be a great speller if I had the tools that I have now. One click is autocorrect. That little red squiggly line when you're writing a sentence, autocorrect. So that right there is a part of the problem. These children are not learning. And the system, the education system, is making it difficult for the teachers that actually care to give the reinforcements they need. A la, sometimes the child needs to be held back. They need to repeat a grade. So that's not helping. Which brings me to the University of Michigan, which I'm going to get out of here in a second. But I've got a crazy rant. 35,000 undergrad students. They got an incoming freshman class. But the first semester now does not count in a sense of they will not be graded by numbers or letters. They will just be pass or fail to help with mental health in the transition. I don't think that's helping. Sure, grades are stressful. I know that. I went to college. I went to community college. Guess what? Community college was a lot harder than undergrad. Duh. But not being graded, that doesn't help at all. Because the only thing they're going to do is just do enough to get by. So what's going to happen the second semester? Somebody let me know, how does this help? Because I'm confused. Oh. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for this week's episode of Breaking Through Glass Ceilings. Shout out to Russell Westbrook. Thank you for an incredible career. And to everybody watching, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like, you hype, and you check me and Queen P.R. out on Sunday nights for our Beyond the Gates recap. And guess what? It's going to be vibes. So even if you don't watch the show, tune in to the live stream because it's going to be a good time. Until the next time, folks, remember, do not let anyone place a ceiling above your success. So long, everybody.
This has been a 6 Heart Media production, founded by Queen P.R. and Brian H. Waters.